Okay, good morning, everyone. I think we will just go ahead and get started. I think this will be a short call this week. We just have a couple of committee updates, and we will probably give you a little time back, which is never a bad thing. So this is Depelsha, calling in from Massachusetts. I'm actually in Boston right now, sitting outside. And we're going to kick it off with an inspirational quote from Neshiva Starr, who also lives in Brooklyn but is in Dallas right now. Neshiva Starr, are you there? And if you are, don't flip *6 to unmute. Neshiva Starr?
Sorry, ladies, I'm having a whole conversation with you guys, and I'm so terribly sorry. Thank you, Depelsha, for introducing me. I was steady talking. Yes, I'm in Dallas right now. Thank you guys for your love and your concern. So I wanted to just remind us about how important self-care is. There's been a lot in the news. So today's quote is by Pema Chodron, and it says, "Be kinder to yourself, and then let your kindness flood the world." Be kinder to yourself, and then let your kindness flood the world. Thank you.
Did you share why you're in Dallas? That's kind of cool.
Oh, sure. So I'm in Dallas right now. I actually have been in Houston since the beginning of this still August, right? I'm a little disoriented. I don't know if a lot of you guys know, my daughter is a competitive gymnast, and so she is training at Simone Biles' gym in Spring, Texas. And so that's like a suburb of Houston. And so we've been here, there, from the 9th of this month, and she's been training really hard. And so then we found out that the storm was coming in. So now we're in Dallas right now. So we'll be here for a few days, and hopefully the storm will subside. Head back to Houston for her to finish training before we head back to New York for her to school. So it's been a pretty busy time for me. So looking forward to meeting up and seeing some of the Dallas, Fort Worth people, everybody in the outskirts. Would be great to meet with you guys.
Oh, that'll be great. And that's amazing that she's doing that. Grant is looking for her here because the last time we had the call, you all were in Massachusetts. So as soon as we got here, it was like, we might see Sakai.
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep 3 days.
Okay. Thank you. I don't think Tammy is on. I don't see her listed on the caller, so I will just keep going briefly with the purpose and mission, and we can come back to minutes if she dials in. Vanessa, if you can go to the next slide. So briefly, our mission and purpose is twofold. Our 501c3, Moms of Black Boys United, provides information and support for moms of Black sons and also promotes positive images of Black boys and men. So this is the resource organization. Our 501c4, Mob United for Social Change, aims to influence policy that impacts how Black boys and men are treated and perceived by law enforcement and in society. Next page, we have a 5-point approach. 1, to influence policy. 2, to change perception of Black males. 3, to demonstrate our power politically and economically. 4, partner strategically with like-minded organizations and individuals toward accomplishing our goals. And 5 is to promote self-care. So next we will have a committee update by Policy and Advocacy by Delicia and Frankie. And don't forget to *6 to unmute yourselves, ladies.
Yeah. Good morning, Depelsha, and thank you. Good morning to everyone. This is Frankie Robertson. So I'll be giving the report on behalf of the committee and Delicia this morning. So I'm really happy to start off with an update on our Congressional Outreach Project. We discussed the project in previous meetings, and I'm really happy to report that we've had some tremendous progress. I want to report out this morning on meetings that we've conducted, and then also give a glimpse of some of the meetings that are in the works that we feel very confident that we'll be able to secure. And we'll also allow a few members this morning to share share a little bit of information about the meetings that they conducted as well. So I do want to just remind everyone that this is currently an active initiative. If there is still time to participate, if there are mobs who would like to get involved and reach out to their member of Congress, we strongly encourage it. Also, we are encouraging members to participate in the town hall meeting process because that has a great deal of value too. I do want to just give a little bit of overview about the project for those who may be just hearing about it for the first time, people who may have just signed on this morning who weren't on previous calls. But the goal of the Congressional Outreach Project, the goals are to provide an opportunity for Moms of Black Boys United and members to engage in advocacy on behalf of our sons, to introduce Mob United and Mob United for Social Change to the congressional representative and their staff. We want to talk about how we can be a resource to them and to their constituents, and also talk about some of our policy goals and initiatives, some of the things that we've engaged in the past that we've put our name and weight behind, but also learn about the representatives' efforts and interests in support of our mission and share opportunities to partner. So in the meetings that we've had, we've been able to exchange in a substantial, meaningful amount of dialogue with the representatives who've been very engaged and very interested in wanting to support our efforts. We started the Congressional Outreach Project off with targeting members of the Congressional Black Caucus. You know, we felt that that group obviously embraced our core values and often leads in initiatives that are near and dear to our hearts and our mission, so it seemed very natural to begin with them. We are not limiting our contact with members of Congress to only those who are members of the Congressional Black Caucus, but we're also encouraging members to reach out to their representatives that may not be members of the caucus. We are a nonpartisan organization, of course, so we definitely want to reach out to all of our representatives and hold them accountable. So I want to share really briefly about some of the meetings that we have conducted thus far. So we kicked off our outreach initiative by meeting with Congressman Cedric Richmond, who is the chair of the Congressional Caucus. He is also one of the congressional reps from the state of Louisiana, the state in which I reside. We had a really good meeting with him, and he promised to help us engage with other members of the CBC, which would be very beneficial to our organization. In addition to Representative Richmond, there were meetings that were conducted with Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. Tammy Greer-Brown will tell us a little bit more about that. She attended several meetings with Senator Gillibrand and or her staff, and DePelsha, our founder, was also a part of that meeting, so we were really happy to hear about that. We also conducted meetings with Representative Elijah Cummings, with Representative Johnny Isakson, we attended a town hall meeting with Representative Johnny Isakson and Representative John Lewis. There was a meeting that was conducted this week with the staff of Senator Kamala Harris. We'll hear a little bit more about that as well. We also had meetings with Representative Brad Sherman by way of his town hall meeting. And then there was a meeting that was conducted with Representative Karen Bass. So we still have a few meetings in the works. I'll go over that. We do have meetings that we're working on with Representative Frederica Wilson, Representative Anthony Brown, and we'll go to the next slide. We also have meetings that are scheduled with, that we're working on with Representative Hank Johnson, Representative David Scott, and Representative Anthony Brown. We're also working on obtaining a meeting with Representative G.K. Butterfield, and then 2 meetings out of Texas we feel very confident that we'll also be able to secure, and that one was with Representative Sheila Jackson Lee and Representative Al Green. And then also we do have a previous relationship with Representative Gwen Moore. She, as many of you may remember, she actually sponsored a bill last year, de-escalation bill, that we were supporting, and Delicia is working on obtaining a meeting with her, and Delicia, our policy chair, has also attended or hosted several meetings with many of these representatives who are on the list as well. So with that being said, I just want to thank everyone on behalf of Delicia and myself for your willingness to participate in this process. And I know that sometimes it can be an unnerving experience for those of us who are new to the policy process. But we just want to remind everyone that you know, this is our right. This is considered the people's house. We elected these individuals, and we have to be the ones to hold them accountable. Our voice is equal in the community, and we have to be aware and attuned at all times to what's happening in Congress and make sure that we have our voices heard. Also want to encourage those who want to sign up to just simply send an email to policy@mobunited.org, and Delicia and I will look out for communication there. And if you're interested in participating, if you know of a town hall meeting, please give us a heads up that you're going to participate so that we can circle back with you and find out how it went. And then also be supportive by way of providing speaking points, access to leave behinds, and things to help you prepare for even a very brief exchange at a town hall meeting. Also, if you're interested in scheduling a meeting with a member of Congress, definitely let us know so that we can walk you through the steps. If it's something that you're already familiar with, you're already maybe very knowledgeable about the policymaking progress and have good relationships with your representative, we still want to work with you. We want to provide proper speaking points to make sure that the items that we'd like to discuss are covered in the meeting. And then also we like a summary. And then a step further, we'd like to promote it. We're always looking for ways to promote what we're doing on our Facebook page to remind members that we are more than just a Facebook page. We're more than a support group. We do engage in direct action all of the time in various aspects of what we do as an organization. So we want to make sure that we post about it, and we use our hashtag MobUnitedGetInvolved, and just give a brief summary of what happened, post a picture, and hopefully that'll serve as a catalyst to get other people excited about wanting to do the same thing. So with that being said, first up, I would love if Tammy Greer-Brown could share a report out on her 2 meetings that she actually had, one with Senator Kirsten Gillibrand by way of a town hall meeting, and a follow-up meeting that she was able to obtain with her staff that she and DePelsha attended. So Tammy, would you like to give us a brief update on that meeting?
Hi, it's Tammy. I'm in the city, so it's a little loud. On my way to Long Island, there was a town hall meeting that the senator has been actually going into different sections of New York State, and apparently she's doing every borough in New York City, and it was only an hour and 15-minute town hall, which I really didn't want to go to, but I went. I was just exhausted, and it was by me, and just so happens I went up to her, and I have spoken to her before. We have met with her office before on the White House Initiative on HBCUs, and I started telling her about Mob United. She was extremely excited. She told me, I have to see you as soon as possible. We were talking about a whole bunch of issues. And she also said that she and the senators, all the female senators, got together. They wrote a proposal to Trump that he actually signed, and they will be doing something in 3 years to commemorate the 100 years of women's suffrage. And she was interested very much so in Mob United being a part of that. They set up a meeting immediately. DePelsha and I went. I had invited other people, but through the grace of God, it was only the 2 of us. And DePelsha, you want to, chime in? Because I'm walking at the same time, but the meeting was very, very good. They want to know more information about Mob United, which DePelsha definitely provided. And we're working on getting the meeting, because she told me specifically, I asked her if she was going to be at CDC. She said yes. And I asked her if she could have a meeting with Mob United, and she said yes. So I know they're working on that. But DePelsha, if you want to chime in, because I think all the information that you gave them was awesome, and it's a little loud here for me. Now it's getting loud.
Yeah, we're all somewhere. I'm outside in Boston, so it's going to be loud here too. But so it was a great meeting. It was with her staffer, a man named Greg Smiley. The great thing is he's a black male, so it wasn't really hard to explain the organization to him. He grew up in East New York, Brooklyn. and has seen and experienced all kinds of, you know, things that black males typically experience. So he got it right away. I think he probably spent a lot of time listening and taking notes, and also providing information on other people we could connect with locally. It was interesting because we've talked about how we've shifted our strategy given the current state of the federal government and who's in charge, how we've shifted our strategy from a federal focus to more of a state and local focus, and he kind of endorsed that approach. Of course, we have to continue to lobby the federal government, and they represent the federal government, but he wasn't as optimistic about getting support from the federal government at this point, and actually spent a lot of time suggesting people that we could meet with locally on the ground and maybe other organizations we could partner with. So there were a number of things, questions that we had, that Tammy had. She actually positioned it to talk about not just Mob Unite for Social Change, but also the White House Initiative on HBCUs and the My Brother's Keeper Initiative, and really trying to tie all of those things together and keep the pressure on to stay focused on black males holistically. So there are a number of things that he wrote down that he's going to get back to us on, and we will definitely stay in touch and hopefully get to meet with Senator Gillibrand at CBC. Anything else? Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. They are having a town hall meeting with Gillibrand, and I think on the 10th of September, we asked to be on that on the guest list because that's going to be packed because it's going to be at Mega. He's going to get back to us with that because they didn't have a definite time. Am I right, Tapelsha?
Yeah, he also said it was not announced yet, but now it is.
Well, I'm sorry, it wasn't announced, but that's between us. And the good thing is, too, is that one of the people that he suggested that we connect with is someone that's in Jack and Jill with me, and I saw her right after the meeting. And apparently she's supposed to be having something where the senator will be there, and Tapelsha and I will be going in a more informal setting. I just want to make sure I keep the pressure up because, and she's also Mob, and we need to bring her into the mix with us. Her father was Pastor Jones, Pastor Austin. I don't know if you guys remember the Tawana Brawley incident way back in the day where she had claimed that she was raped by white men, and there were threats on her life. Well, Jennifer Jones Austin's father, who was a prominent minister in Brooklyn, actually hid her out and her family out in his house during some of the challenging threats that they were getting. So she has also spoken at the commemoration for the March on Selma and last year. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. So she has a high profile nationally, and she really does have a good heart, and she really is into community service. So I'm hoping that Tapelsha and she can definitely connect, since they're both Brooklynites, and I don't think they live too far from each other. And we can just put Mob on another level nationally as well as locally. In addition, she runs the Protestant, the families of working Protestants. They actually give money to organizations. So the partnership with her, I think, would be amazing on so many different levels, and we hope to close that relationship where it goes from personal to more of a business association between us and her. And I think that's it. I'm getting in the train.
Okay, well, thank you. Frankie?
Thank you so much, Tammy and Tapelsha. Really, really appreciate the thorough update. As you can see, these meetings hold a great deal of value. Not only are we able to talk about our organizations, Mob United and Mob United for Social Change, we're also able to just help strengthen the work and the organizations that we may also collaborate with. So thank you both for obviously having a very successful meeting and for reporting back. Right now, I'd like to actually turn it over to Susan Brooks. Susan Brooks is a member of the Policy Committee, and she had a meeting with the staff of Senator Kamala Harris. So, Susan, can you share an update on your meeting, please?
Did someone say Tammy?
No, Susan Brooks this time. And Susan.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Susan, you have to press *6 to unmute. All right. Well, actually, while we are waiting for Susan to possibly continue to feverishly try to unmute, unless we've lost her, well, actually, I'd actually like Vanessa to share her experience. Vanessa attended a town hall meeting, and some of you may have seen the post on Facebook. I particularly loved all of the posts about the meetings, but I definitely had a great deal of appreciation for Vanessa's post, which was very genuine. We could all definitely relate to much of what she experienced at the meeting in terms of just trying to go up to the representative and speak with them about issues, and also being able to speak with someone who didn't necessarily express the same political and social views, but overcoming that to move forward regardless, to speak about things that you're passionate about. So Vanessa, would you mind sharing a brief update about your experience at the town hall meeting? You actually, I know you attended 2 of them.
Yeah, if anybody knows me, I'm kind of one of those people who won't give up on something, like a dog with a bone. So yes, I did see him twice. The first time was at the town hall meeting here in our area where I live in Los Angeles. It is a predominantly, I would say, Hellenic community. We have a lot of Persians. We have a lot of Greeks. We have a lot of some Middle Eastern. So Brad Sherman happens to be on the House of Foreign Affairs. So most of his commentary really had to do with the issues that were taking place there, that affected the House of Foreign Affairs. So things like, relations with Israel and purchasing products that are made in that part of the world. I brought a different tone, and I wasn't, I am concerned about most issues, but my biggest concern is my black boy and man. So that is what I wanted to discuss with him, and the room in the town hall was very volatile with people from both sides having to deal with foreign affairs mostly. Secondarily to that, the biggest concern was health care reform, so there was a lot of conversation about that as well. I was pretty surprised to see in my very liberal town of Northridge and state of California that there were a good number of Trump supporters there. They came prepared to voice their opinions. They were loud, they were rowdy on both sides. It was interesting, just being in that space. I think that was probably the most amount of negative energy that I have ever felt since I have moved in this area. So that was a little disheartening. I didn't get a chance to ask a question. They ran out of time. I did go up to meet him, met with the head of his office, who shared with me, gave me her number. I told her about Mob United. She was very interested in setting up some time to communicate with us, and asked that I send her an email and or call her this week. In the interim, or I should say later on or next day, I found out through Susan, who also lives in Los Angeles, that Brad Sherman was having a meet and greet on 2 days later. So after work, I switched out of my heels into my sandals and went straight to the meet and greet. Walked right up to him. There was like maybe 20 people at that meet and greet versus the maybe 150 or more that was at the town hall. So it was definitely a more intimate setting, and I was able to not only, shake his hand and have a conversation, but really exchange, information on views. And I think what was most shocking to me was his response to my concern about the school-to-prison pipeline. And, how he looked perplexed when I even mentioned the term. And then when I went on to kind of explain the phenomenon to him, his response is that, well, my girls are, a little rowdy and disruptive and seem to have issues in their classes. I should hope that no one thought that they needed to go to prison. So essentially he didn't get it. And my reaction was, you know what? That's fine. I was a little taken aback, but it's fine. There are a lot of issues for us to conquer together. We've discussed setting up a meeting in the future. We discussed the bail reform, and we parted ways. That was it.
Vanessa, thank you so much. Thank you for the thorough update, and thank you for pressing forward to attend both of those meetings. We really appreciate it, and we're happy to have the opportunity to report out and share your experience. And once again, we hope that others will continue to stay abreast of opportunities to also participate in town halls in their respective areas. Be bold, be unapologetic about speaking out, and then also follow up with our group to let us know about the conversations that were conducted, and if there's any follow-up that needs to happen after those exchanges have taken place. We're certainly happy to support you in those efforts. So now Patty Garrett actually will share a few words about her town hall meetings that she participated in. She participated in a town hall meeting with Representative Isaacson, and then she also participated in a town hall meeting conducted by Representative John Lewis. So Patty, would you mind giving us a brief follow-up on a brief overview of the meetings that you participated in?
Sure, thank you. So I'll go over the first one, which has the picture with myself and John Lewis. And that was a town hall meeting for Fulton County. And I have a good friend who was running for East Point City Council. And so I joined him at that meeting just to hear what John Lewis had to say. And then they had a town hall afterwards just to talk a little bit with some of the local leaders there. But the town hall that I want to talk a little bit more about was the one with Senator Isaacson. And that was out at a local college, Kennesaw State. And, I caught my bus home from work and jumped in my car and headed over there and was really disappointed because I really didn't think that I was going to be able to get in. There was a line out the door, down the street, around the corner, down some stairs. And, I reluctantly went and stood in the long line. And to my amazement, myself and Carla, I'm drawing a blank on her last name, Canty. Carla Canty came and joined me, and we got inside, and the area was really small. I found a couple of chairs. I was able to set up chairs for Carla and I to sit down, and then Senator Isaacson came out, and he talked for just a little bit. You could tell the room was not real thrilled with him. There were a lot of people, first of all, that were thanking him for even having a town hall because it's been difficult for us to get the senators here in Georgia to show up to town hall meetings. And so as he started asking questions, people started asking questions, there was a common theme that he was not answering the questions that were asked. And so when somebody on my side of the room asked a question, I took that opportunity sitting in my chair to just start waving my hand frantically because I wanted to make sure that I was seen. And he saw me and he said, I see you waving your hand, but, can you please stand up? So they brought me a mic. And let me say that the audience, for the most part, I probably counted on one hand the number of African Americans that were in the audience. So I had pulled up on my phone information in regards to MOB so that I could read specifically what our platform was, what our mission was. And so I got a lot of cheers as I explained that MOB was Moms of Black Boys and MOB for Social Change. And so as I finished, explaining what the organization was about, I stood there and I said, so as an African-American mother, obviously I'm in this group, which means I have a son. My son is 23 years old, and I said, I'm terrified for him. I said, I'm terrified when he's not in my sight, which is often because he doesn't live here in Georgia any longer. And I said, so my question to you is, do you support de-escalation training for law enforcement? And it was so offensive the way that he answered me. So he started out talking about it was great that we had a organization like this that was helping our children to stay off the street. He went into lecturing me basically about, mothers and, how, we need to be able to take care of our kids. He went on to, I can't even remember everything that he said, and I'm standing there in amazement because he never answered my question. And so the audience started getting, really mad, and they were yelling, answer her question, answer her question. And so then he just ended. And, he talked about when he was on the school board, he talked about ADHD. He talked about all of these things that had nothing to do with my question. And so I had posted it on Facebook because I didn't, I wasn't able to film myself, but I had filmed a little bit of some of the other questions that were asked. And afterwards, he met in a room with reporters, and a reporter asked him, he said, Senator, I'm not so sure. Well, he said that the African-American woman that asked you the question in regards to her son and having a fear for her son, when you answered her, can you kind of tell me what your answer was? Because I don't know that I understood what you were trying to say, and nor do I think that some of the other people in the room understood you. And he said, well, I was commending her for being involved with her son, and he started, going on saying some other things. And so a reporter said, well, sir, her question was about de-escalation training. And he said, well, what I recall her asking about was, activities for her son. And so then another reporter said, well, no, sir, she was asking specifically whether or not you support de-escalation training for law enforcement. And he said, well, I thought I answered her, and so they asked him again, do you support it? And he said, yes. And then he ends it by again kind of giving me a lecture on, I was commending her for being involved with her son, and, he goes into the ADHD again. So when the town hall finished, I had a number of people that came up to me and thanked me for asking the question. They also were saying that they were trying to raise their hand because had he called on them, they were going to ask the question for me again. There was a sheriff who came up to me and said, I heard your question and just want to let you know that the governor has already implemented de-escalation training. He said, I just finished mine. And I said, well, why couldn't the senator say that? And he was like, ma'am, I don't know, but I just wanted to let you know that there is de-escalation training. And he gave me the name of the person that I should touch base with if I wanted to find out more about it. But I was happy to be able to answer the question. I did hear somebody in the audience when he was about to take the last question, and the person in the audience said, you only took one question from one minority. He was like, or from one person of color. And, the audience started booing, and at the very end of it, they just started chanting, shame, 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 shame. So, I was happy I was able to go. I was happy I was able to get my question asked, but unfortunately, I did not get my question answered, except that after a reporter had to really spell it out for him. My prayer is that Senator Isakson, this will be his last term, because to me, he seemed a little bit off, didn't really know exactly, what he was saying. To me, he was just talking. So those were the two town halls that I was able to go to, and those were the activities that happened there.
Patty, thank you so much. Really appreciate you sharing the update, and I'm sure several folks read about the meeting with Senator Isaacson, and I'm sure we could all share in the frustration with the assumptions that were made and just the inability to even process or hear what you were truly standing there to talk about. So that's just evidence that we need to continue engaging and make sure that our voices are heard and that people understand why we exist and move beyond the personal accountability factor and address our concerns about the systemic issues that have to be addressed. So thank you. So one more call to see if Susan is actually on the line. Susan Brooks. If not, I'll share the update on behalf of Susan.
Yes,
so,
Frankie,
Susan.
can you hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you, Frankie? Okay,
Susan.
yes, I'm
hey,
here.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yes, so I had a meeting with a staff person for Senator Kamala Harris, and it was specifically to talk about the Senate bill that she just introduced in conjunction with Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky. And he was very happy to have me there. Unfortunately, Vanessa was supposed to be with me and had a very late night, so she didn't make it. So I was kind of the lone ranger on that one. But after introducing him to what Mob United and what Mob United for Social Change was, we talked about the bill and what her expectations were, what really stands in the bill, and basically it's a no money bail bill, and it is not instituting it at the federal level, although there is a bill on the House side that does address that, but I don't know that it's gone anywhere yet. But they introduced this bill as sort of a pilot program to give grants to up to 6 states to reform their bail system into a no-money bail system. And then it would be like as a demonstration project because the Department of Justice would be involved with it, so there would be research done. Some of the things that he shared and the reasons for doing it is that as a nation, we spend over $38 million per day incarcerating people who have not had a trial yet. And along with that, there's a lot of things about recidivism. The sooner somebody is let out on bail, the less likely they are to commit another crime. He said 90% of the growth in the prison population since the year 2000 are people who have not been sentenced yet. So basically, we're paying all this money to hold people, and New Jersey and Kentucky and Washington D.C. all have no money bail systems that are working well. Basically, they do a flight risk assessment and some kind of a safety assessment on the individual that's been charged with a crime. Certain there's certain crimes in each of those states where you cannot receive bail, unlike in most of the U.S. I mean, you could commit murder, and if you have enough money, you can be out on bail. So that's where they put in the safeguards. And so he was very excited that that was an issue for Mob and that we're out there. They're not at a point yet where they're trying to put pressure on any particular senators. In all my years, I've been an advocate for over 25 years, and in all my years, this is the first time I've sat in a meeting and had them explain a different approach. Often you'll talk to an elected official and as they're gathering signatures and co-sponsors on their bill, they might say, hey, don't talk to Democrats yet. We need some more Republicans on this bill. We don't want it to be too Democratic heavy. But what's really unique in their approach is that they will not let anybody sign on to the bill as a co-sponsor unless they bring a bipartisan partner. So if you're a Democrat and you want to support and sign on as a co-sponsor, you've got to find a Republican before you can sign on, which I think is a really unique approach and hopefully will be a successful approach. And we talk to them because a lot of I've heard from other folks that have been in these meetings that people don't, there's legislators out there who feel like nothing is going to go forward under this administration and we've got to get past 2018 elections. And I don't know if it was naivety on his part or just her honest opinion, because I didn't meet with the senator herself, is that she wouldn't have moved forward on this if she didn't think it could pass even in this political environment. So we'll kind of see where that goes. I also had a meeting yesterday with my state assembly member. That was really interesting. California had a state assembly bill for bail reform, for no money bail, that did not pass. And he, as a Democrat, abstained. So I was really interested to talk to him and hear about that. He was happy to hear about our group, even though the district I live in, it's a very small African American community, and not a whole lot of Latinos either. I live in a very Asian, or like second, third generation Japanese is more than half of the population in the district I live in. And he was a former school board member, and he was also a prosecutor. So it was interesting to talk to him about why he abstained, and I feel like he was pretty honest about it. What took me back and surprised me very much was that he admitted that we have a very racist police department and that a history of that. I didn't expect him to actually say that to me. Having black sons, I've experienced that, but I didn't expect any elected official to agree with that, especially somebody who was a prosecutor. But I learned, he talked about what his concerns are as a Democrat, that in theory he likes the idea of no money bail. He thinks it's an unfair system, but he wants to see, one of the issues with the California bills are that there wasn't enough detail to them to ensure public safety and ensure that the program would actually work. So it was a little bit different perspective to hear from him on that. And I hope Vanessa will be with me. We have a meeting with Representative Karen Bass on Tuesday. We were supposed to have it last week, and she had to change it, so we'll be meeting with her on Tuesday. And basically, they're glad we're out there, and they're glad that to have us there, that we can support them when some of these bills move forward.
Thanks, Susan. Thank you so much for the update. One other thing that I do want to mention, I may have missed it in the presentation, but we are signing on to support the bill, and Senator Harris's staff has asked us to basically wait for further cues from their office. So we will be signing on, placing our name as one of the organizations that endorses the bill, but there's no activity or no movement at this time. So we're happy to be a part of that effort and plan to partner very strategically with them and try to support it in whatever way that we can. So that actually concludes our policy update. As you can see, there are a lot of members who've been very active in this process, and we're so excited about that. And if there's anyone else who would like to also participate in a meeting with either your state-level representative or your congressional representative, please send an email to policy@mobunited.org, and we'll be happy to work with you to arrange that. And if you are attending a town hall meeting, if you could just simply give us a heads up, we would like to know about those as well. So thank you so much, Dipalsha, for allowing us to make this presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frankie. This is Delisa. There's just one quick thing. In addition, we wanted to also just highlight that Mob United for Social Change will be participating in the CDC's annual legislative conference. That is going to be September 20th through 24th in Washington, D.C. You might remember that a delegation of folks attended the CBC's ALC last year. It was a great opportunity to learn about the policy issues impacting the African American community and the larger Black community. And so we're encouraging folks to sign up. If you are able to register for the ALC and come out to Washington, D.C. as a follow-up to these meetings that we've been encouraging folks to go to and organizing, we are going to ask for, we're working to organize a meeting with additional CBC members and any Mob United members that come out to the CBC legislative conference. So do sign up. If you are going to attend, just drop a quick line to policy@mobunited.org so that if you're attending and we're able to organize a delegation meeting, we can make sure you are looped in.
Thank you so much. And I just want to say thank you and give a big kudos to the Policy and Advocacy Committee for initiating this whole legislative tour, so to speak, and coming up with this idea and the timing of it over the summer. This is really the core of what the organization is about, being that voice for moms and for our sons, and it's just so great to see this coming to life. And as the chapters get built and grow, this will really be the primary work of the chapters to do this at the local and state level. We're going to be providing training, talking points, all of that to empower people to do it. But I just applaud you all for standing up even when you were alone. Patty, it was an amazing story. Thank you, Susan, Vanessa, Frankie, Tammy. To be willing to go and speak alone is even more powerful, but I think it will help all of us to know that this network of moms nationwide who are all standing together in unison and raising our voices, and that really, really is what this whole thing is about. So thank you, and look forward to more and more of that throughout the coming year. So now I think we just have a brief update from chapter development. Lisa?
Hi, yes. Good morning. From our last chapter development update, we've had over 8 meet and greets that took place over the month of August, that were within the late July and August. Some of the ones that have taken place are, we had one in Harlem, New York, that was hosted by Mercedes Brazier, and that was held at the Langston Hughes House. We also had an event that was in Staten Island that was hosted by Tammy Greer Brown. Another event in the end of July we had was in the Triangle area of North Carolina, and that was hosted by Doris Galloway. Other events that we had in August, we had the ladies met in San Antonio, Texas, which I don't think they'll be on the call this morning just because of the whole storm. Some ladies met in Charlotte, Illinois, Charlotte, North Carolina. Ladies met in Bronx, New York. And our latest meet and greet that took place was a part 2, and that was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which was hosted by LaShondra Harris. Some upcoming events that we do have taking place in later September. We have another event that's taking place in Dallas. That's being held in Keller, Texas, which is right outside of Dallas. And another event that's set up for Rochester, New York. So if you go to our website, mobunited.org, you can go to Take Action tab. There's a space that has all the other dates for upcoming events for our local meet and greets in your area. And if there isn't one and you would like to host one, there's a form you can fill out, or just reach out to us and we can help you set that whole process up. We have everything for you. We do have a few of the moms, few of the hosts that did host a meet and greet, and if they want to talk briefly about their event, we would greatly appreciate it. Doris from North Carolina, if you could start 6, and you could tell us about your meet and greet and how that went and what you thought of the process.
Hello. You're probably going to hear my son in the background, so I apologize for that. But I was very proud and very happy of the event that we hosted in North Carolina, Elon, North Carolina. We had about 8 people sign up and had 7 people there, 2 people who couldn't make it, and a new person who came who was registered. But I talked to the 2 people who didn't make it and gave them an update on it, and they're still on board. The conversation, it was one of those crazy days, so I got in a little late, and thank God I had my co-chair, Brittany, lead it off and do some icebreakers. So we started off with the icebreaker and then just talked about what are some of the challenges and the concerns we want to address after talking about Mob United and what it stands for. We were blessed to have Chris Baldwin and Tiffany there so that they could speak more directly about the mission and the purpose and be able to articulate the passion and the mission more deeply than I can as a new member. When we left, I had everybody fill out a form and just saying, you know, is this something you would commit to being a financial member? In what way do you see yourself being involved? And everyone who participated agreed to becoming a financial member by the end of this year. They all listed their strengths and in what way they'd want to be involved, and if they thought we should move forward as a chapter. Everybody was in agreement that they loved the idea of doing a chapter. A lot of people who are willing to, of the group that was there, that's willing to go to town hall meetings, so I definitely see, Frankie, that that's an opportunity here in North Carolina. A lot of links to people who are on the Alabama School Board. So we had some good connections here from the attendees that took place. I sent a follow-up email just thanking everybody and giving them the link to go ahead and register, become a member. And we're looking to do a follow-up meeting in October. We're thinking of trying to do like a every other month or kind of once every 2 months get together. One of the programs that we talked about was potentially doing a walk in the future, and so that's something Chris and I are kind of talking off script about and figuring out what possibilities could be there, and then also a membership drive. So this is something that we'll talk about in more detail at the next meeting, and that Chris and I will continue to talk about to kind of put together a proposal on what that would look like. But that's what we see in the near future.
Thank you, Doris. Thank you, thank you. I think Tammy Greer is back on. Tammy, if you are, do you want to talk about your Staten Island event? And you could look at the Bronx event as well if you have a Pastor Deb. Tammy?
Hi, I'm sorry. I'm walking towards the bus. I'm going to be brief. I was very grateful to have this event. We had it at Everything Goes Cafe. DePelcia and Shiva Star brought their kids, and it was at a beautiful, quaint little coffee shop called Everything Goes Cafe. And it was right in the same vicinity where Eric Gardner was killed. The owners are an avid supporter of the whole issue regarding Eric Gardner and just commemorating his death and supporting the family. So it was a great opportunity for us. We had about 15 people attend. First time many of them have found out about anything about Mob United. They knew basically what had invited them to like the page. The excitement is very, very is growing. We had a former police officer who also was a judge in New York City and now has his own private practice actually come to, and he and DePelcia talked as well. And we're looking forward to the next meeting. We're hoping that we can meet again probably in September. We've been invited to participate in a couple of other things, which I haven't even gotten to. I just got the letter today. What we did last year was the Staten Island Black Heritage Parade, so we've been invited to that. There was one of the moms who was so excited she joined immediately afterwards. The other moms have committed to join as well. I have about 6 other moms who have committed to join, but this one particular mom was going away to visit her family in North Carolina for a family reunion. She took about 100 postcards to pass out to her family because she was so excited about what we were doing. And in addition to that, one of the moms is with the Eagle Academy, which is the all-boys school, who's very interested in working with us as well. David Banks, who's over the Eagle Academy Foundation for all of the schools in New York City and in Newark, New Jersey, all-boy public schools. So it was great. We became empowered. I'm always inspired every single time I hear DePelcia do her presentation. It is very, very heartfelt, and I think she conveys that every single time she comes out and she gives the presentation. So things have happened since then. People are asking for Mob United to join them in certain struggles, which, we're vetting with Delicia as well as the steering committee. And that's about it. If DePelcia and Shiva Star would like to add, I'd love to hear your feedback as well.
No, I think that was a great summary, Tammy. Thank you.
I concur. I'm good. Thanks, Tammy.
Okay. Thank you. Thank all the moms who've actually hosted the events, and for all of those that are coming to the events. We hope it was definitely well worth it. We know we've been pushing registering at mobunited.org. So we're happy that you've done that, and you're volunteering all your services to help us protect our boys. That is all that I have right now. I'm going to transition it back to Natasha.
Okay, thank you, Lisa, and thanks to everyone who's hosted or attended a Woke Mom Meetup. We're going to keep them going for a few more months, and the next step will be pink postcard parties, where we'll write to legislators about a particular issue or issues. So stay tuned for more information on that. We'll probably share it on the next call and get the organizers geared up to do that. So I think that, well, first I want to open it up for any questions or comments. Anyone? Okay, well, if not, we're going to give you about 30 minutes back on this lovely Saturday morning. Hope everyone's enjoying the end of summer, or at least the end for us. We still haven't gone back to school yet in New York. We don't go back until after Labor Day, but I know for many people the summer ended a while ago in terms of the school year. So thank you all for joining. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and just want to wish everyone a great weekend and close it out with a prayer by Neshiba Star.
So again, following the theme of self-care, reminding us of how important that is, the prayer is, Dear God, thank you for giving me the courage, motivation, and determination to take excellent care of myself. Thank you for helping me to follow through on my intentions to enjoy wonderful health, fitness, and happiness. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, ladies. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.